Hi everyone, and welcome back to Jim Vernon Solutions, the Learn HTML series with W3 Schools. We're going to do the quotations chapter in this video. We're going to cover the tags in one video and the exercises in a second one. There are only a couple of tags we're covering here. We're covering block quote, Q for short quotation, ABBR for abbreviation, address, site, and BDO elements or HTML tags. I'll skip to the the block quote, try it yourself. The block quote tag very neatly indents from both right and left, so it offsets the block the way it typically is done in any source where you're quoting something longer than a line or two. So instead of putting quotations around it, it just sort of indents it. Notice that there is a site attribute, though, within the block quote tag, so you can give it the actual source. I don't know that it has to be a URL, and if it is, it still doesn't show up as a link over here. At least it doesn't in this particular display, but I suspect that might be possible with some browsers. Okay, so that's the block quote, and next we'll cover the short quote, which simply puts quotation marks. We can see the Q tag and the /Q tag over here. If we're going to move the Q tag, which I can do, suppose we only wanted to quote part of a sentence. Right, if we rerun it, you can see that the quotation marks go around exactly the short passage that you want to run as an inline quote. Typically, you'd use this if you're quoting something that's less than 2 lines. You start to get into 2 lines or more, and most people typically want to use the block quote. Okay, and then next we have the ABBR tag for abbreviations. This one is a little bit subtle. We can see that the text inside the ABBR tag, which also has an attribute, in this case title, but WHO is what's inside the ABBR tag, and you notice over here it's sort of a dotted underline, and it does occasionally show up as highlighted. You can see the title itself comes, but not always when you mouse over what's inside the abbreviation, in this case World Health Organization. And I believe it also tells the browser, though, that there's an abbreviation there. Okay, after abbreviations, we get the address tag for contact information, and this one doesn't really do much in terms of visual display. In this particular display, it shows up in italics. I suspect that's what most browsers do with it, but it doesn't really do any formatting inside. If you'll notice in this example, the tutorial uses the BR tag. If we take it out and rerun, there's no formatting inside that isn't done unless, well, it's just done with whatever HTML you want to use. In this case, the break tag sort of puts things on separate lines that you might want them in, but there's nothing about the address tag itself that actually organizes that. So I'm going to rerun it, show you that you can change the formatting inside, but that's kind of up to you using the other HTML tags. Okay, coming back, then we have the site title, which gives you, it's a way to define the title of creative works or things like that. You might have it in the Try It Yourself here. They use an example of a painting that I happen to love, The Scream by Edvard Munch. And so you can see the image tag that pulls in the image itself, but then there's the site tag that encloses, in this case, the title. And all it does really is display it in italics. I suppose it also indicates to the browser, though, that there is a citation there. So again, pretty simple tag, doesn't do a whole lot of formatting itself other than to put it in italics. And then finally we have the BDO for bidirectional override. This one is a little bit confusing to see for those of you that are used to seeing English left to right, but I suppose if you have a language that is written and read right to left, you can use the BDO tag. Notice that it has an attribute, in this case dir, and if we make it RTL for right to left, you can see how it displays over there on the right. And just to prove that that's what's happening, if we change that direction to LTR and rerun it, it shows it as LTR. Okay, so getting back out of that, and we'll cover the exercises in the second video for this chapter.